Good evening, classmates. I chose as my discussion this week the life of Robert Shirtliff, which sounds kind of odd since this is a female discussion. Well, anyway, the life of Robert Shirtliff was not extraordinary. The service to our country during the War of the Revolution was comparable to many other soldiers that had been assigned to a light infantry group, which were somewhat hand-picked for certain qualities such as height and strength. Aside from one difference, Robert Shirtliff was, in reality, Deborah Sampson. Deborah Sampson enlisted on the first occasion in Middleborough, Massachusetts as Timothy Thayer. When Sampson was discovered, when she failed to meet up with her company, that she had been recognized by a local resident and reported to her commander. One thing that stood out about Deborah is that she did not give up. She enlisted again, this time in Uxbridge, Massachusetts, where she completed enlistment and was assigned to the Light Infantry Company of the 4th Massachusetts Regiment as Robert Shirtliff. The question of what made Deborah so adamant about fighting in the Revolution is still being discovered. What made Deborah Sampson was the fact that what made her special was the fact that she could have done many other services to the Revolution, but insisted on fighting alongside the men and carrying out the duties of a man. As to the question of why this story is so widely accepted, this has multiple answers. First, she served her time out in the war after being injured and was discharged after being found out as a woman. The acceptance of this story in this aspect comes from being discharged, which created documentation. Years after being discharged, she petitioned for Revolutionary War pay from the state of Massachusetts. The petition was granted, and it was signed by Governor John Hancock. This petition and a later addition to her on the Massachusetts Invalid Pension Roll gives great credibility as well as documentation to the story. The other answer to this question is in the form of her life after the military, when she went on a year-long lecture tour, which was no small feat for a woman in this day and time. The question turns to why was she special, or could she have been replaced by another woman in the same role? The answer there is also perplexing. There were not many women in her time that were of similar size and comparative strength to Deborah, according to witnesses, including her biographer, and a man she knew well, Herman Mann. Still, that is not assurance that there were not many Deborahs throughout the country that did not take up arms and fight in the Revolution, but were comparable to her size and strength and her determination. The importance of the famous females in the Revolution cannot be overstated. These women were an inspiration for many others, and one must think the inspiration for women throughout the history of the United States, including up to the suffrage movement and beyond. It would probably make Deborah proud to see women now have the option to fight alongside men in today's U.S. military. I chose to reorder the sequence of questions asked by Leo Emilio, and the last question I feel the most important is, does she deserve to be continued into the next century? The answer here is a resounding yes. Deborah Sampson deserves to be remembered and celebrated so as to inspire young women to believe in the possibilities they are capable of. Thank you all.